Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Med Legal Green Room. I am Sam Frentzas, co-founder of the Driving Force Company, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Dr. Mark Slater. And before Dr. Slater, I'm going to, really go into your accolades. I mean, back in the day, a smile and a basket of muffins would do the trick, but with everything we got here, I mean, it's pretty amazing. And I like bringing guests like this on that can offer so much value. And look, so for everybody, Dr. Mark Slater is the founder of Prime Spine Consulting with over 25 years of experience. And I wrote some stuff down here. So if I'm looking off, I want to get this right. And I had a little bit of my own twist in here, which I like to do. And Mark, look, you become, I think, the leading voice in the personal injury space, helping doctors build stronger practices, deliver care that actually hold up in court. The reason I know this is that you're working with one of our members and you can't shut up about mark this and mark that, and it gets a little too much. But specializing in teaching providers how to uncover and document objective evidence in PI cases, especially when it comes to overlooked injuries like traumatic brain injuries, spinal ligament damage, that dramatically impact both the recovery and case value. So I think that's really important. And then beyond the clinical side, you also help doctors grow by building predictable referral pipelines through your PI Referral Pro platform and by developing a high-performance marketing liaison team, which I think goes overlooked. I think people try to use the easy button. So I think we're going to talk about that. So valuable, so valuable. And you're also the founder of the Optimum Personal Injury Mastermind, which I love masterminds. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. And look, this is one of the most successful high-level groups in the country for doctors in the PI space. And it's not me saying it. It's others telling me when I'm like, oh, I got Dr. Mark Slater coming on board. And there we go again. These guys won't shut up. But I think your mission is simple. Move doctors away from subjective complaints and move them toward measurable, defensible, medical proof that leads to better outcomes across the board. Dr. Mark Slater, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Sam. Good to be here.
My pleasure. So let's dive in a little bit. Let's go first, I think, to the marketing liaison marketing, because I think that's the first thing people talk about. And we'll unpack everything else. But I want to get into that first.
Sure.
In what you're doing. Please elaborate and go into detail about that.
Sure. Well, when I purchased a medical practice, I'm just going to go back 20, 25 years here. The medical practice had an MD in it. He did all the diagnosis, the treatment. He did everything. I was essentially the liaison. Like, I was never in the office. I was out talking to other providers, attorneys, general practitioners, primary care doctors to generate cases for the clinic. And so, I had my clinic for 20 years. I sold it. I got into the med spa space. I had 4 locations in Atlanta. I sold that. And I got hired to be VP of Sales and Marketing for a large spine surgeon in the Atlanta, Georgia market. He had 5 marketing liaisons that he wanted me to train. Give them KPIs, key performance indicators. In other words, give them rules. Most doctors fail with marketing liaisons because they do not give them any instruction. They don't tell them, this is the amount of people I want you talking to per day, per week, per month. These are the amount of files I need you to drop off. These are the amount of thank you notes I need to write. It's all just go make it rain. And that is a recipe for failure. So what I will tell you about marketing liaisons, law firms use your marketing liaison as their quasi-employee. Meaning if they need anything from your office, an update on a client, medical records, they want something negotiated. Hey, Mrs. Jones, we're about ready to go to settlement. I need to talk to the doctor about the bill, and so we can get this all wrapped up. They just use marketing liaisons as the quasi-employee because they know exactly who to call to get any action taken care of that the lawyer needs. So that's the benefit of having a marketing liaison, other than the obvious of walking into law firms, urgent cares, providers' offices, dropping off information, asking for a date, meaning a Zoom call, a lunch, a tour of the office to meet the doctor. Are you open to that? That's a powerful question, Sam, that I want everyone to put into vocabulary. Are you open? Are you open-minded? Are you open to learning about a doctor with multiple locations that can give you the ammunition you're going to need to get the best outcome on the case for your client? So having a marketing liaison is basically having a marketing engine in the field every day, setting up meetings for the doctor, not dropping off material and leaving. A high school kid can do that. This is a highly trained person that knows everything about the doctor's office that they can share with the attorney, but most importantly, share the outcomes of these PI cases with the attorney. That's what I want the doctors on this podcast to understand. You're not selling your services. I mean, you are, but you're selling the outcome of your services, like the VMA, right? We're going to give you the objective evidence that you're going to need of a permanent injury to help this client get policy limits or the best possible outcome on the case. You don't want to promise policy limits. We can vagarize our language to say better outcomes on the case. So Sam, I know that was an extremely long answer to your very simple question, but any follow-ups to that? I tend to do that on occasion.
Look, it's important. It's not the build it and they will come model. I have a liaison. That's great to say, but without, and I think there's the key detail, a standard operating procedure. You're right. They're going to go out. They're going to have 50 flyers to go visit 50 lawyers. That's just, you're right. A high school kid will do if they do it.
Right. Exactly.
Right. They might take the money, put a stamp on it and mail it. But at the end of the day, I think you're absolutely hit the nail on the head. It has to go to that, follow these procedures. And this, I think, where a lot of providers fall off. They think they just, hey, let me bring on a liaison. And then what do they do?
Unfortunately, it's just not that simple. Right now, I'll tell you this quick story. When I got to this surgeon's office as VP of Sales and Marketing to train these liaisons, I said, "What are the rules? Like, what's expected of you?" They said, "Well, this was a surgeon. He got a lot of PI patients. He says we have to bring in, I forgot if it was 20 PI patients a month to keep our job. We have to generate 20 PI cases a month." Well, I thought to myself, that is the stupidest rule I've ever heard. I'm sorry, it's just stupid because let's say it's the 16th of the month. You got 20 referrals in from your marketing efforts. What are you going to do on the 17th, 18th, 19th? Well, I'll tell you what they're going to do. They're going to go to the spa. They're going to go to the gym. They're going to go to the pool, the beach, the movies. They're going to do everything other than work because the only rule is we have to bring 20 PI cases a month. So that's when I got in the first meeting with these liaisons. I slapped down a KPI chart. I said, I don't care how many PI patients that you bring in. You have to go out and hit 10 offices a day, 50 a week, whether it's a follow-up of an existing relationship or a new attorney, new urgent care, new provider, 10 a day. That was the goal. Now, they didn't always get to 10 a day. Maybe they got 8, 9, 7, 6, whatever, but the goal was always 10. That's how we were able to break records in this surgeon's office by generating 200 new PI patients a month. The surgeon had never done 24 spine surgeries in a month. We did 30, 2 of the months in my 11-month tenure. After 11 months, I resigned. I'd had enough, and I created Prime Spine Consulting. But giving these liaisons rules, KPIs, key performance indicators, and having a weekly meeting with them, meaning tell me your wins for the week. What went right? Start with the wins. And then what needed improvement? Where did you get tripped up? And this is where the liaison can tell the doctor, hey, an attorney asked me this question. I did not know the proper response. So by having this weekly meeting with the liaison, you can find out what those questions are, give your liaison the expected answer that you as the doctor want the attorney to know. And this is how you create a better liaison week over week by having this weekly meeting. Again, if the doctors are going, go make it rain, not having a weekly meeting, you never see this person, recipe for failure.
100%. And the other thing that I've also seen, and you've been out there longer than I have and know this field even stronger, the doctors can't do it. I know they want to do it, but if you give a doctor more admin work, that's another recipe for disaster because they want to hire and then go do your job. So what I've seen, and I'm sure you've gone through this in your mastermind, as you start seeing the ones that do better and better and better, it's the ones that can take that and say, great, then I'm going to sign it. Here's the group that's going to take care of the liaisons, because as the minute the doctor adds more and more admin to his plate, takes away from him becoming a doctor.
That's right. And I'll tell you, every one of these mastermind doctors and some of these guys in the mastermind have renewed for 4 years in a row. Okay. It's a $25,000 annual subscription fee, and they renew 4 years in a row. That's the value. They all have marketing liaisons, at least one.
There's the game changer. And I think the other thing that you said, and I know we don't want to beat that to death, but I want to drive that home.
Yeah.
And I want to get into masterminds here at the end because I got a little bit of a love, and that's how Walter and I started our company.
Yeah.
But I want to go now. Let's go to the attorney side, to the objective versus subjective. I think there's another key piece of this thing. So I think, look, the value that you bring is ridiculous. So I want to keep poking at that brain of yours and get as much info and value to everybody as humanly possible. Let's go back now and talk about subjective evidence versus objective medical evidence.
Sure. So according to insurance companies, sprained strains heal on their own. They don't need chiropractic intervention. Therefore, they just deny the claims. Okay. So if all you have is cervicalgia, myositis, myalgia, whiplash, and those are all your diagnoses, those are just all subjective. The patient saying, hey, my neck hurts. You write it down in your soap notes. Those are just subjective. Those are not going to get maximum value. Those are not going to get policy limits. You have to provide these attorneys objective evidence of a permanent injury if it's there for them to get policy limits. Objective evidence is what wins med legal cases. So by doing ligament instability with the VMA, the motion diagnosis of a 3.5 millimeter translation from the bone above to the one below, that's a 28% permanent whole body impairment. That's not me subjectively saying it. That's according to the AMA guidelines, 4th, 5th, 6th edition. Medical journals, published standard of care. It's hard for defense attorneys to argue published standard of care in medical journals. That's why objective evidence gets better outcomes.
Without a doubt. But along with the diagnostics, I think you need to have the notes, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it all correlates together. So it's not just, well, here's the diagnostics. You have to have the notes and everything that go with it.
Absolutely.
For the package for the attorneys.
Absolutely. Let me just tell you this quick story. At this mastermind, we have speakers, and we had a trial attorney come speak to the mastermind. And we were talking about traumatic brain injury for a second. And the trial attorney says, if you want to kill my case, here's exactly what to do. Treat the patient for 2-3 months and then order a TBI cognitive exam. Because in the first day, in the first day's notes, or the first week, whatever, there's nothing in the notes that says dizziness, confusion, headaches, typical TBI symptoms. And then 3 months later, you're going to order a cognitive test for a traumatic brain injury. So to your point, Sam, the physical exam and the notes on that initial visit are extremely important. There's nothing more important than the actual physical exam of the doctor. Yes, we're going to do X-ray, MRI, maybe neuroquant imaging for a TBI, ligament instability analysis using a VMA, motion studies. Yes, for ligament instability. But objective evidence is how you're going to win this game and be indispensable to attorneys. Let me repeat that. If you're just like everybody else as a chiropractor and all you have to offer is chiropractic adjustments and physiotherapy, heat, ice, muscle stim, ultrasound, there's not going to be a whole lot of objective evidence you can generate unless you have an X-ray machine and you're doing VMA studies, or the VMA and you're doing ligament instability analysis to provide those objective evidence. Objective evidence is the key to winning a med legal PI case, especially, well, Sam, I can go into TBI a little bit from give me 2 minutes to talk about a brain injury, okay? People go to the ER after a car accident, let's say. At the ER, they're going to give them imaging, MRI, CT scan, neuroquant, whatever. Those are going to show structural deficits of the brain. However, people can still have symptoms of a TBI, but the imaging is normal. Well, people can have cognitive and behavioral deficits after a car accident from a TBI. Those don't show up on film. So the Lancet Neurology of 2025 came out with the CBIM model for traumatic brain injury, clinical, biomarkers, imaging, we talked about that, and modifying factors. Well, clinical is the first thing. The notes that you take, a cognitive screening test as soon as possible. They can now track blood biomarkers in the blood that can show brain injury at a cellular level. It's almost like a confirmation test. So again, this is objective evidence. And in a TBI case, A brain injury doesn't resolve in 90 days like a typical neck sprain or a whiplash injury. Those symptoms can last for years, cause early onset dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease. And the screening process can start in the chiropractic office. We don't treat, that's out of scope, but we're allowed to do a screening if it's part of the symptomology of the injured patient on a PI case. And so cognitive chiropractors can do a cognitive assessment. We use the impact test. Impact is used by all the major sports leagues. It's FDA cleared for cognitive impairments from a TBI. And we've been using it in TBI cases. We have the test interpreted by a medical neuropsychologist in your state. So it meets a med-legal DAW-BEAR standard. So if you're not assessing TBI, you're doing the patient a disservice. You're not giving the best possible care, and you're not helping the attorney get a better outcome for their client. And you may be hurting yourself because the guy across town that maybe have a TBI protocol and you don't, that's the guy that these attorneys are going to start going or using, because a TBI diagnosis on a med legal case can pop policy limits and get future medicals because of all the reasons I said before. It can cause future chronic symptoms, dementia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease.
And you start adding life care planning.
That's how you get future medicals. That's right. Through life care plans, medical cost projections. Exactly. And we have contacts that can do these life care plans. And sometimes attorneys will pay for medical cost projections. Sometimes an attorney will pay for this if it's going to add this much value to the case. Because unfortunately for doctors, we're limited by our bill, right? Yeah. If an attorney gets a $100,000 settlement, guess how much I get as the chiropractor? If my bill is $5,000, I'm lucky to get the $5,000. That guy's getting a third of $100,000. So it's really important for providers to have a point of differentiation, be able to add more objective evidence on a case and become indispensable to these attorneys, and not just be a commodity chiropractor. A commodity chiropractor is just like everybody else.
You're interchangeable.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I made that note here when you just said that, and I wrote that down. I'm like, that's a good one. You're right. You become interchangeable instead of having that competitive edge, right? Because unless you have something that your competition can't have, you need to have that competitive edge and have everything going your way. Because look, throwing more money at something to be better than everybody else catches up with you, and we all know that.
Well, yeah. Secondly, a lot of my clients get a lot of documentation training. There's a lot of great trainers, Arthur Croft, Mark Student. I can go on and on and on. They teach incredible documentation skills in personal injury. But if you don't have any patients, then you just have a lot of expensive information. Right? Business is two things: innovation and marketing. That comes from Peter Drucker, self-made billionaire, Wall Street tycoon. Innovation, innovate using a VMA imaging device, innovate having a TBI protocol, be able to provide these attorneys objective evidence of a permanent injury, and you're going to win this game. But if you're just stuck with subjective findings, you're going to be in this constant loop of finding new attorneys. They're going to send you 1 or 2 cases. You don't provide them any objective evidence. They're going to find other people that will.
Yeah, you're not unique at that point, and you're not a permanent solution.
Right.
And that's the other thing. And I think this goes back now, and this will segue right into the mastermind. That's near and dear to my heart. That's how my business partner, Walter, and I met. We're going back to the Dan Kennedy Titanium Mastermind days. Walter and I built our own mastermind. At one point, it was $100,000 a year. To be part of our mastermind, you need to be doing $10 million a year in revenue until we bought the VMA and shifted over. We still do some stuff with autonomy and Napa and that event every year. And I think just a cheap way to get together in Napa Valley, smoke cigars and drink wine and mastermind.
Talking my language.
But I love what you're doing. And to me, it's so important for doctors to get together in a mastermind setting in what you do with your mastermind. This is where the game, and you just even said earlier, they want to continue. They renew, iron sharpening iron. Because what's going on in this part of the country, you can take it, and it's all coming from a position of giving, and get away from working in your business, and then get in that group setting. And you got to have a leader that knows how to lead that group. Right. So it's not they're not spending the money because you got a pretty smile. It's what's up here and the value they get out of it. So if you could elaborate a little bit about your mastermind, because I think Look, this is where I see doctors take that next step
Absolutely.
tremendously is in that mastermind program, because I've been doing this thing for well over 10 years in the mastermind setting, and we even do it now
Yep.
as well. So where can you get that advice from? We spend a ton of money to get Marcus Lemonis and spend an afternoon at a hotel up on the deck where Walter and I had him, but understanding everybody thought we were nuts to spend six figures for about an hour, and that cultivated in probably 50x in what that return was.
That's exactly right. Following a guy's advice like Marcus Lemonis, his TV show is The Profit. This guy who has multiple business, invests in other people's businesses. I love Marcus Lemonis and I love that show. Funny that you mentioned it. But following somebody who's already successful in multiple different industries, that's somebody to listen to. That's why you wanted to listen to Marcus Lemonis. So at this Optimum Personal Injury Mastermind, you have to qualify, right? It's for elite level PI providers, getting at least 50 PI cases a month and having an annual gross revenue of over $1 million to qualify for this mastermind. So imagine at this, these Parker seminars, these life college seminars, not being in the room where somebody is lecturing you on a topic. That's not what a mastermind is. It's not the Mark Slater show. I'm just a moderator. I'm just sitting there directing the traffic. Imagine being in the hallways of a Parker seminar and talking to doctors and getting ideas. What are they doing that's successful? How much money are they spending? What does the marketing look like? Oh my God, well, we did it, but we really made a lot of mistakes doing it. Now we do it this way, right? So imagine being in a room with a dozen leaders, chiropractors that have multiple clinics. Some of, most of them are integrated. Some of them have surgery centers. They hire orthopedic surgeons. They have interventional pain docs, like all different shapes and sizes of medical practices. But imagine being in a room and bringing your challenge to this room. And three of the doctors said, oh, we've already solved that challenge. This is what we did, and this is how we made it successful. So you can just shorten the learning curve, not undergo trial and error, throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. Follow successful models of people that are in this mastermind already doing it at a high level and just copy them. And these members will, here's the resources, here's the contracts we used, here's how we did X, Y, and Z. So it's a collaborative effort. I do give exclusivity. So, if you're a mastermind doctor in Miami, I'm going to give you essentially the whole bottom half of Florida. Okay. So that's what the mastermind is. Again, it's not the Mark Slater show. You bring your challenges, and we share artificial intelligence tools. We talk about Claude AI at a high level, how you use that tools correctly. A lot of these doctors, they think all these AI tools are the same. They're not. Yeah. Claude is a thinking partner. It's like a co-CEO. ChatGPT will build all the stuff that Claude helps you think about. But that's the kind of things that we cover. We do an exercise every Saturday morning about their business. Where are your bottlenecks? Where are the new opportunities? And we use AI tools and exercises to do this at a very high level. And it gives the doctors on Sunday when they go home, they have a whole action plan for the next 30, 60, 90 days to implement. And that's why the doctors renew 3, 4, 5 years in a row. They get addicted to a mastermind. I'm in a mastermind now, right? For a marketing to grow my business. Like, I want to be in a room with other successful people. I want to learn what they're doing. What AI tools are they using? Where are their breakthroughs? Because I want to have breakthroughs too. So members of a mastermind, if you want a breakthrough, if you want to get in a room with high performing doctors and figure out what's working in personal injury, how to get more unattached cases, how to get better value on whatever you want, somebody in that room in the masterminds figured it out. Just copy them.
And I like that, right? Follow in the footsteps of those who have been successful in front of you.
Well, Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. Yeah. If somebody is successful year over year in maybe multiple industries, might want to listen to that.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about a lot of things, but I want to talk about PI Referral Pro. So we talked about software, and before I screw it all up, give us a little bit about PI Referral Pro and how to get access to it.
Sure. So we talked about some high-level products that I have. The Optimum Personal Injury Mastermind. We talked about my liaison training program. We help you hire, train, coach, optimize, and track, most important, track them, a marketing liaison. But my entry-level product is this product called PI Referral Pro. And any chiropractor, any medical provider that wants PI patients can qualify for PI Referral Pro. It's a software that I created. We use your LinkedIn profile. We help you optimize it so it resonates in the PI industry. And my whole tech team collects information from your business, your services, modalities, certifications, credentials, skills, talents, like hours of operation, insurances that you accept. And we launch a campaign on LinkedIn. It's going to help you connect with up to 50 PI attorneys per day. Once that attorney sees your profile and connects with you, it triggers a message through automation. So this goes on in the background while you're busy taking care of your patients and running your business. And that first message is going to sound something like this. Hey, Sam, thanks for the connection. I see you're a personal injury attorney in New Orleans. I'm looking to grow my relationships in the industry. Do you work with any doctors that can provide this benefit, and this benefit to help you get the best outcome on the case for your client? Sincerely, Dr. Slater. Now, most people will quit if the attorney doesn't respond. But 6 days later, if there's no response, a second message will go out through automation with another compelling reason to get these attorneys curious and get them to respond. If they don't respond to the second one, they're going to get a third 6 days later, a fourth, fifth, sixth, up to 8 messages spaced out 90 days in total. If they respond to one of the messages, second one, third one, fifth one, whatever, automation stops. The doctor is notified in a special inbox, and this is the doctor's opportunity to get into a conversation with the attorney, acknowledge his response, and then ask this magic question. Are you open? Are you open to a Zoom call to learn about your law firm and show you how I can give you the ammunition you're going to need to get the best outcome on the case for your client? That ammunition is the VMA, motion studies for ligament instability, and a TBI protocol, even if imaging is negative. This is how you're going to help your patient at a deeper level. You're going to help these attorneys get better outcomes on these cases, and you are going to get more referrals because you're more indispensable, and it's just a numbers game. There are thousands of PI attorneys in your city. Most doctors I talk to go, I got like 6 guys that send me cases, 5 guys, 10 guys. I'm going to tell you, it's the law of 80-20. If you have 10 attorneys that you have a relationship with, you're going to find that you're getting the majority of your referrals from 2 of them, the law of 80-20. 80% of your referrals are coming from 20% of your relationships. So this process lets you go out and get 20, 50, 100, 200 relationships with PI attorneys. And then let's get 1 or 2 referrals a month from 20% of that number. Take your wife on a nice vacation.
It's not even that. I'll even pile on because again, from what we were doing with our PI connection back in the day, and I had somebody like, Sam, I know 80 attorneys. Okay, yes, you probably do know 80 attorneys. You're not going to pick up 80 phone calls, so it's more like 10. But what he didn't realize was there was over 2,700 PI attorneys available, and that blew his mind. How are you going to get a hold of them? This kind of automation gets the ball started. Then you move up to the liaison. There's the steps that you can do. So I think that's vitally important to build your brand.
Yeah, and it's called the value ladder. Yeah. Start with this lower thing, get success, go to the next thing, the liaison, start getting more referrals. Like it's just a success loop.
Yeah.
You take some action, you get some results, you repeat it. You get more results, you take more action. It's just a repeatable little loop. And then you go to the next phase. Most of the doctors in Optimum Personal Injury Mastermind started in my lower programs and ascended into the mastermind. But listen, a lot of this is done for you. But these attorneys don't want relationships with me. I can't help them. They want relationships with you.
Yeah. So
if you want to have a better practice, personal injury wise, make yourself better, right?
Yep.
The success of the business is directly correlated to the business owner. Success is 80% psychology, 20% mechanics. Mechanics are how you do something. There's lots of ways to do things, or the how. But the mindset of the business owner is the number one bottleneck to success.
Right. And if you don't make yourself unique, it's not gonna matter. So yeah, put that link. You guys, you're gonna see that link below. Please click that link and get that. And I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. So as this rolls, I get excited. So I don't know if you know or do not know, we launched the VMA Training Center down in New Orleans. One of our chiropractors, which you said exactly that same thing. Owns a surgical center, owns an MRI center, MDs, chiros, PTs, multiple. He purchased 4 VMAs and just purchased another 4 VMAs. So we started doing the VMA where we have attorneys and providers come in there. So at our next one, we're going to have you come in and speak. So now you can't say no. So I'm putting you on the spot. So again, we can get you at that mastermind level for the group because we have attorneys that do, and again, the VMA, the TBI, their outcomes. So having the end user, the attorney, talk about this, and then other providers that come in, love to invite you there as a guest speaker to speak to the room. And again, make everybody better. Get them to be that unique provider where they are indispensable, not interchangeable. Because PI attorneys, you could be buddies, but if you change the outcome of their cases, then you become indisposable to them.
That's right. Now, a lot of these attorneys have a 5-mile rule for their clients, right? They don't want them driving more than 5 miles 3 times a week to get adjusted. Miss appointments, gaps in care, impacts the case. However, if you're really indispensable, they're going to make their client go to you and drive more than 5 miles. But that's just a typical rule, a 5-mile rule for these attorneys. But
Let me break this rule from one of your clients, and I don't know if you know this or not. It's up in Northern California. A PI attorney had his client drive 100 miles to get a VMA study done from your client up that owns Precision Spine and Motion. He's a chiropractor, opened up his own imaging center.
I know that guy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The attorney had the client drive 100 miles because inconclusive MRIs, inconclusive X-rays, and we just didn't have a VMA. We're going down there. We got launching in Southern California, but he made his client drive 100 miles to get this study done. I can't talk about the outcome of the case, but it changed the outcome of the case.
From what I'm understanding, compared to a static study, a game changer in terms of objective evidence on a case, especially in a jury. A jury can see motion and really understand exactly what's going on there, as opposed to a static image. So I love the VMA, the imaging device. I think it's a game changer. But, objective evidence is, again, however you can get it. VMA is a great tool.
Yeah.
TBI. So the link, you can go to drmarkslater.com. That's my website. You can book a 15-minute call with me. The link below is just going to be a call to book a 15-minute call just to talk about PI. No high pressure, not urgent, not salesy. Let's just talk about PI. And if you want to have a Zoom call where I can show you everything that you're going to need based on what your goals are in personal injury, you want 10, 20 PI cases a month, you want 200 PI cases a month, like what are your goals, right? I'll tell you this, I love this saying. It's prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. It's in sales also, right? I meet you where you are in your business. I don't try to sell you shit you don't need. Sorry.
Yeah.
So diagnosis without prescription without diagnosis is malpractice.
I'm going to write that one down and use
It's a
it.
good one. I like it.
But it's true. Dr. Mark Slater, thank you so much for being on here, imposing your wisdom, and then offering to help as well. So everyone, click the link below, grab 15 minutes. Trust me, it is a game changer in the personal injury space. So Dr. Mark Slater, thank you for joining us.
Sam, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.